All right, we're going to get started with this session. Very excited to see you here this morning. My name is Max Slipek, and I'm going to be the moderator for this room. I'd like to give you a couple administrative items. In case of emergency, as you heard, we'll be evacuating and going to the parking lot. The good news is that the stairways are really close to us. They're just straight this way. So you can head out the room, turn right, turn left, and we're in a parking lot. The bad news is the bathrooms are a long ways away because they're way over there. Quick introduction about me. I'll tell you two items. On my personal side, I'm a very avid outdoor person. I love being outside. So in the winter, I like to pick the coldest days and the coldest nights and take my young son, pack the sled, head deep in the mountains, and go ice fishing and camping. In the summertime, I teach canoeing courses through the town of Banff, and this year I had a very unusual situation where I had 2 months off. My wife and I took our 50-year-old twins, we put them in the back seat of a small camper van and added the dog to the mix, and we drove across Canada to see our country. I highly recommend it, it's wonderful. But I know why the flights are so expensive to Fort St. John and St. John's, because it takes a long time to get there. On a professional side, I love coaching, teaching, and leading people to get things done. Last 4 years, I've been with TC Energy, managing cybersecurity programs. But folks, this isn't about me. This is about you and the session that's coming up. Very excited to introduce John. John Hetherington is a technology project expert with over 25 years of experience and founder of WeDeliverYourVision.com. He teaches project managers how to streamline their project delivery, get the recognition they deserve. He lives in Calgary with his wife, 2 dogs, and a cat, and here today to share his AI framework for saving time and boosting our careers. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to John.
Thank you, appreciate it. Why can't project management be easy? That's a question I get all the time from both the project managers I work with, portfolio managers, business leaders. And like all good project managers, I hope for the best, but plan for the worst. So when I hope for the best, that's where AI can come in. And I want you to humor me. Just bear with me a bit, because when we think about AI, there is a future where it automatically creates a dashboard for us. So when we turn up to work, we see a dashboard of our projects. It gives us the status, the budget, the schedule, everything you need to know because it's tailored to your specific needs. I know, it could be far-fetched, but this is hope for the best, right? As a result of that, it gives you a to-do list. It knows what you need to do on your project based on the schedule. So it helps build out a schedule based on the exact information programmed into it, but it's also scanning every other project out there like yours, building the best schedule and optimizing it for your team, then assigning the resources, who's available, who's doing work based on the resource plan. And we know how those resource plans go. It then gives you a to-do list, automatically sends a to-do list to you, to your team, so everyone knows what to do. Then you need to book a meeting with a sponsor. You want to update them. So you ask your AI to book a meeting with your sponsor, but it pushes back. It says, no, you need to do risk reviews. Tomorrow, on Tuesday, 11 o'clock, I've blocked time in your calendar because that's more important, because if you get the risk reviews nailed down, you can then take that to your sponsor. That's hoping for the best. I get it. It's far-fetched. But the point of this conversation, this session today, is to introduce you to some of the concepts around AI, what it could do, the art of the possible, just to get you thinking. Because you have to use AI in the right way, like any technology. If you don't use it in the right way, it can be overwhelming. This is just a selection of project management AI tools. I've used these, and I get it. There's so much choice out there. And it's early days. A lot of it's still maturing. It was funny because Lisa this morning mentioned in the keynote speak around we thrive in the area of novelty and stress. This is novelty and stress all in one place. Where do I start? What do I do? So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk you through my rapid framework for how you use AI to increase your productivity and ultimately boost your careers. And I'm going to do it through this framework, which I'll show you in a second. But before I do that, I just want to take a moment because, again, I really appreciate, again, back to Lisa and thank you. So I want to thank you for taking the time to be here. I also want to thank Ben, Nicole, and Alison, and all the organizers for putting on such an awesome event. So a quick round of applause for the event. So before I teach you my rapid framework for using AI on projects, I have a confession. I'm an introverted nerd, geek, always have been since I was 12 years old, and my radio-controlled car, my Tamiya Fox. And then from there, at 14, got my first computer, the Commodore 64, if anyone's seen that. That one had a disk drive. I didn't have a disk drive, I had a tape drive. Tape drives take forever to load programs. So we used to go around my friend's house, he had the tape drive. But from there, I then went into electrical engineering, computer science, then got my first job with a financial services company. And I had one of the dream projects. I actually got to build a very early AI black box for automatically producing quotes for finance, for insurance. And I couldn't wait to share this with the leadership. We've built this AI. It's amazing. It's increasing revenue, speeding up the delivery of quotes. What's not to love? But the management didn't like it. It shocked me. Why not? Because revenue was up, but customer service was down. Customer satisfaction wasn't improving. The reason for that is because the company, life insurance company, was known as the Friendly Society. They focused on customer service. They actually had, at the time, because this is back in early 2000, they had door-to-door salesmen still. That was one of their core values. So great technology increasing revenue, but it took away that customer service. I learned that very early on in my career, and after that, and that's one of the key messages I want to leave you with today as well. Just think about how you add value, because it's not just about the technology. Because once you use that, then you can start to boost your career. From there, I went to work for Ernst & Young, got to work with bigger Fortune 500 companies in the UK and Europe. And then after a few years, my wife and I got to achieve one of our dream goals, which was move to Canada. So in 2005, we emigrated, came to Canada, landed in Toronto, and now been in Calgary 17 years and haven't looked back since. After a couple of years in Canada, I actually joined Deloitte. But at the back of my mind, I was always thinking, I could do this for myself. I want to set up my own company. So my wife and I and a few others set up a company. We Deliver Your Vision back in 2011, and here we are, 13 years later, helping project managers use technology in the right way. And the reason for that is because there's a real problem out there. I hear you. You're probably looking at this going, AI is great, but we have endless meetings. We have status reports to do. Then we have to manage stakeholders, manage the team. I get it. It's overwhelming. It's busy. Myself, I'm actually in the middle of, anyone use Maximo, the asset management software? A few of you, yeah. We're just migrating Maximo to cloud with one of my clients. It went live into Azure Cloud last weekend. We actually go live to users on Monday. So I get it. I'm in the middle of this right now with you folks. But the point is, let's take a moment to sit back and reflect on how we could use AI, because you don't have to go out and buy AI right now today. And the reason for this is leverage. Because you as project managers are busy. The definition of leverage is output times productivity. Productivity, for the output, you can only work so many hours per day. You only have 24 hours today. You can't work any more hours. You're probably spending all those hours right now on your projects. So productivity, how do you increase that? That's where tools like AI come in. They're leverage. That's what boosts your career. That's what increases your productivity, because you can use it for these things. I've used this AI for these things right here, right now. Before anyone says, hey, what about the data? What about the security? My company doesn't allow ChatGPT. I get it. We're going to cover that as well, because yes, there are some restrictions. It's early days. But what I want to do is open up your eyes to how we could use AI, and also get your feedback as well. We'll have questions a bit later on around what tools you're using, what you've seen around AI and the tools. So to do this, to take you through this rapid framework, we're going to use a standard waterfall methodology. And before we get into waterfall versus agile, which is the best, that's not the point of this conversation. We can have a big debate around agile and waterfall. I love both, by the way. I just want to use this waterfall framework to illustrate how you would use AI. And I also had the question before this around is this session about how I implement AI projects? And it's not. This is about how you use AI on your project. In short, implementing AI projects is a very different ballgame. You'd still use a methodology. You'd still use Agile, still use Waterfall, whichever works for you. The key difference with introducing an AI project is you have to show results quickly because AI is still new, it's still evolving. People are very skeptical of it. Can I trust it? Can I trust the data? So if you are doing an AI project, show results quickly, talk people through it. There's a lot more change management, information reassurance you need to do with AI projects. But we'll cover that. Happy to talk afterwards around that, and that's a separate session. But in the meantime, let's continue with walking through this framework using my rapid 5 steps to using AI in projects. And it starts with reason, not technology, not AI. Starts with why you want to do things. Because if you don't have the reason, the why you need to do things, you'll get stressed because reasons, focus, and whys, goals give you focus. We talked earlier around, Lisa saying around we want to take a moment to breathe, to reset, being nature. It's a prime time to just take a break, think, okay, where am I heading? What are my goals? This is the number one thing. If you don't take anything away from this session, take away the fact you need a goal, a reason, a why. So let's dig into that. Because if you don't have a why, you end up with things like this. So if you ask AI, how do I eradicate cancer? Get rid of humans. There's no cancer. Not a great answer. Or you get this. The CEO fires its entire team and replaces it with ChatGPT. Arguably, there's a lot of other problems there. If they're replacing a team with ChatGPT, there's a lot of other issues that CEO has. But the point is, this is becoming mainstream. This is not some niche basement technology that's only a few people are using. More and more people are using it. It's out there. There is a gap, I get it, between corporations using it and we have to manage the data and privacy, but it's coming. Because even Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan is talking about it. Anyone want to guess how many days does he think it could reduce the work week to? Between 1 and 5, who wants to guess? 3? Sorry, what was that? 5, yeah. Okay, good point. So it is 3.5. So credit to those who said 3. To your point, Jamie Dimon's never going to introduce a less work week, so he's going to do 5 days or more because that's Jamie Dimon. Anyway, the point is he sees efficiencies, so he's going to use that 1.5 days for something else. And that's key, folks. Going back to the reason, going back to our projects, our goals, our success. If we have a benefit and outcome, what are we going to use it for? Saving time. You save a 1.5 days. What are you going to do with that 1.5 days? Because people will fill the time they have. That's why this reason is so important. So let's just take a step back. So when we're thinking about the reason, you need to understand what AI is. For anyone who doesn't know about AI, I'm going to break this down for you. It's data, big amounts of data, massive amounts of data, that takes patterns, trends, and creates prediction. That is generative AI in a nutshell. And I say generative AI, so ChatGPT, the GPT stands for Generative Progressive Transformer. It generates outputs, progressive because it's using patterns, and it transforms data. That's effectively what it is. So it scans, what ChatGPT has done is scan the internet. It sees that when you want to sing a birthday song, happy birthday typically follows that in a search. So it says, give me a birthday song, happy birthday follows. Very simple, but you get what I mean. It's taking patterns and making predictions. And that's important because generative AI cannot think outside of what other song would you sing at happy birthday unless it's seen it in the data. Is a happy birthday song appropriate for that family? Maybe it's not, but it wouldn't know that because it's not trained on it. In fact, ChatGPT was trained on a massive amount of data. I think it was 80 terabytes. And if we think about how much that is, if you think of a bookshelf, it's basically 7 or 8 miles of bookshelves of data. It's a huge amount of data, and it's only up to the free version's only up to 2021, by the way, as well. So one of the questions I often get here is, I just want to make sure I get this right. Is AI smarter than humans? That's the key question. So let me just check the notes here, because I want to make sure I get this spot on for you. Yeah, is AI smarter than humans? Good question. The answer is no. It's faster than humans. If you've ever programmed ChatGPT, it processes the question very quickly, but it's not smarter because it's not creative. So let's be specific about this, because this next slide is actually going to give you the secret to being the value add PM, the project manager or portfolio manager. So what's AI good at? What's it not good at? It's good at processing, looking at images, analysis, pattern recognition. And I say decision-making there based on the data it has been trained on. That's important. It can make decisions very, very quickly, but only if it's been trained on the data. Repetitive tasks. It's very good at processing invoices, for example. It's very good at recognizing patterns of this trend of invoice numbers came from this client. What it's not good at, and this is where you as project manager, this is your secret sauce for adding value, is these things: common sense, unstructured problems, creativity, emotional intelligence, transfer of learning to bringing in different ways of doing things, innovation, and data privacy and security at the end. This is where you as project managers can excel, because as AI and technology builds and becomes more mainstream, is my job going to be replaced? No, if you do the things that AI can't. So this is where it's no longer good enough to deliver scope and requirements and budget and schedule. We have to deliver value. So focus on these things. Ask your team, how could we do this differently? Because once you're clear on your reason, then you have to articulate it and share it with your team. Here's some reasons I've used. For me personally, I still am striving for this, of course, but I want to be the project manager of choice for projects I want to work on. So it might be personal. What's your reason? Might be a client, one of my clients is building a learning metaverse. What does that mean? It's a big deal, but we're refining it. That's our goal. That's our reason. 3.5-day workday. Jamie Dimon said this. One of my accounting clients is actually doing this for their practice. They want to introduce a 3.5-day work week so they can spend a day and a half with their family, friends, gardening, whatever. By the way, not everyone wants that. Some of the staff actually want a 5-day work week, 40 hours. They're structured. They like the routine. Credit to them, go for it, no problem. But if you have a goal for your company, then be clear about it and sell it to each of you, share it to each of your team. 70% for your emails. We'd all love that, right? So full disclosure, I helped a client achieve that with a chatbot for HR questions, FAQs. So instead of having to call HR and find out and then get them to send emails back and getting emails to them, we had a chatbot which gave them the links to FAQs. That reduced the emails. A very small use case, but it worked. And increase income, maybe that's your goal. As long as you're clear on it, just be clear on where you want to go, your reason. And that's what I'm going to leave you with of this section, this first of the R's, is what is your reason? Know that before you start with AI or indeed any technology. So that was reason. So we're now going to come on to the next one, accelerate productivity. So AI can do many things, as we know. I'm just going to bring these up in one go. These are things we can do very quickly. We talked about what it's good at. These are things I've used it for on projects to varying degrees of success. It's not perfect at all of them. But let's dive into it. Let's make it real with a use case. So AI for project management, using this framework again, kick off a project. This is where I love using AI to make that productivity happen quicker, to help our teams get the projects off the ground. Initiation, the planning, design. When we start a project, how do we do that? So we use it to create a project charter. I'm going to show you this in the next slide. I've used ChatGPT to help me build a project charter for anyone who's not done that. Stakeholder analysis. You can't put in names. You can't put in this type of personality, but you can put this type of person or this type of role. How would I interact with them? What have other projects done well to interact with stakeholders? Again, it's a good basis to help you. Meeting notes and actions. If anyone's used Teams, even has meeting notes and actions come into it. Otter AI is another great tool. Again, depends on the company. Some companies won't allow this, but it's becoming more and more mainstream, especially as Microsoft and Oracle, especially those folks get into this, it's going to become more mainstream into our companies. And then updates to your team. I use ChatGPT all the time and Copilot all the time to help me draft communications. I never send them what comes out of it. It's never good enough, but it helps. I use it to give me a basis of what to send the team. It gives me that initial structure, which I can then take, edit, refine. It's a creative writing partner. That's one of the key strengths of AI and ChatGPT. So let's look at, this is a lot of text on here, and you can download these slides. They're on the Hoover site. And if anyone wants a copy of these, let me know at the end. I'll happily send you a copy as well. But I use ChatGPT to create a charter for an ERP, an enterprise resource planning project. Again, you'll notice there's nothing sensitive in there. There's no key data in there. There's no client data in there. But it came out with a really good structure. And if you have templates already, great. Take the text, use it. It just gives you that head start. Because we all have those times when we have to write a document. It's like, okay, get a coffee, sit down in front of the document, right, I'm going to pound it out. This gives you a head start. Again, use it as a tool. Use it as leverage. And this is an actual use case. So when we did a project reset with my team, the projects were over budget. It was jumping from green to red status. There was no yellow. There was poor risk management. So what did we do? We brought in, the first thing is streamlined decision making. It wasn't bringing AI, it wasn't bringing automation, although we did that. It was streamlined decision making because it was slow. It was taking too long to make decisions. There was too many people in meetings making discussions, but no decisions. So we simplified the methodology. We used AI to capture meeting minutes, so it's much quicker. And then we used automation to streamline some of the reporting processes. And as a result, we saved 4 hours per week on average. And again, your question will be, what did I do with that 4 hours? So we used that to free up the people for other projects, to work with other stakeholders, to do more. For the project manager, this was leading, coaching, better management. As a result, we did reduce project oversight, not 100%. Again, full disclosure, this is not an easy task to do. So we did reduce some of the overspend and we did get more projects delivering on time. It's an ongoing journey. It's not a one-off. So that's how, again, brief introduction to productivity. There's so much to cover here, folks. I'm going to cover quite a bit quite quickly. But again, feel free to grab me afterwards and go into much more detail. But that was productivity. So now we're going to talk about people. Again, not about AI. How do we manage the change? How do we make sure we get the change management? Because again, if people don't understand AI, don't understand what your reason, they're not going to be on board. We talked earlier on around that steps of how you get the shoulds versus the permission to actually get people to do things and work with you. How do we solve this problem? This is what people's all about. Because AI is a tidal wave coming at us. I actually got this from an AI-generated image, and for the eagle-eyed of you, you can probably spot the surfer on the far right there, or far left, your far left. But yeah, this is not a real image, but the point is, the message is AI is coming at us. And now is the best time to learn of it, become aware of it, because if we don't, we'll get left behind. And the learning curve gets steeper every day. And what you'll find is you can either be on the beach here, and some people will keep their head in the sand, some people will go grab surfboards. Hopefully today you'll get enough information to at least consider grabbing a surfboard. I'm not saying go and rush on the wave, but at least think about grabbing a surfboard and think about looking into AI. By the way, there's people that bury their head, there's people who grab surfboards, there's people who don't do anything, they just stop. What do we do here? It's about 60%. 20% will love anything new that's coming on, new technology. 20% will hate it, resist it, never want to do it. And about 60% are in the middle. That might be you, your team. Either way, be empathetic to that. Some people just will not do new things. Some people love new things. But the 60% will come along with the journey based on who's leading this. So if you have people on your team, have them look into AI for you. Because this change curve, we all go through this. Who's seen this change curve before? I'm sure. Yeah, project managers, right? We see this all the time. The point is, when we're down in this resistance chaos phase, that's when we're stressed. Lisa was talking this morning around being overstressed, not recovering. That's where we are. When a new idea comes along, we automatically go into a resistance, change is bad mentality. Some people get through this. They go through the transforming, integration of the idea, the new status quo, the new idea very quickly. Other people don't. They take longer. That time arrow at the top there, that'll vary depending on you and your team and your experience. Everyone's different. The point is, even people like Home Depot struggle with this. So Home Depot put in Zebra, which was helping with loss of wastage, basically people stealing stuff from the stores. But they put in some AI software to basically help the staff monitor stock on the shelves better so they could keep a track on inventory. That took 6 months to introduce just with a team of 50 out of, I think it was about 14,000 people across North America. It took a long time. So again, these new technologies do take a long time. So don't feel with AI there, you have to do it tomorrow. Please, if anything, please don't do it tomorrow, but just be aware, understand what could be done and then apply it over time. See AI as your co-worker. Here's a novel idea. I use this with any new technology. See it as a co-worker. See it as how you would treat someone else on your team. You're going to onboard them. You're going to give them goals. You're going to do a performance review. You may have to exit them if they're not right for your company or your team. Same with technology, same with AI. If it's not right, move it on, but give it some time to develop, set it goals, and work with it and train your team. You train a new staff, new member of the team, train AI as well. So it may not be you, but give your team, give them access to AI learning. Maybe it's just YouTube. There's huge amounts of resources on YouTube. Just go look. Online as well. Use ChatGPT to give you a training course on AI. So how would I train my team in AI? It will come up with some ideas. Get AI champions on your team. Get them to say, how would we use AI on our projects? Let them come up with the ideas. Again, part of the change management, they embrace it. AI meetups, even if it's just you and your team talking it through, because people will be nervous about it. Is it going to take my job? So reassure them, no, as long as you adapt with it. Has anyone had questions around will it, or anyone concerned about it taking their job? Has anyone seen that? Yeah, a few. It's real out there, I get it. Again, with any new technology, same with ATMs coming in for banks. What happens to tellers? But industry evolves, things change. My view is AI will not take your job, but it will take your job over someone who has AI, someone who knows about AI. So even in the room today, this is one step closer than people who are not in this room. So take stock of that, the fact that you're even just being aware of AI, because that will take you a little bit ahead. So hiring. I just want to talk about hiring because this is a great use case. I use this all the time. Hiring would be in the middle because you use it throughout the project, especially at the beginning when you're kicking off a project. I use it to create interview questions. So I'll show you a slide in a second. Interview questions, the meeting notes. So when I'm doing an interview and sometimes people need to approve a hiring decision, here are the notes. I haven't had to write anything because the AI has captured the notes for me. And you can anonymize it if you need to, so it doesn't have to be specific around the person. And onboarding. There is a future where, or I've actually done it now, where you use AI to scan the project status reports and create a quick summary for me. What's the state of the project? What are the key points I would introduce this to a new starter, a new joiner? Again, pasting it into ChatGPT. Can't put anything confidential in there, but it will do that initial work for you. So, Copilot, or Bing Chat, if anyone's used that, this is similar to ChatGPT. I often get asked, do I like Copilot or ChatGPT? I actually like both for different reasons. ChatGPT is faster right now. Copilot is good for references. It tells you where it's got the information from. So I put this into Copilot. Said for this IT project manager role, give me 10 interview questions. And it came back with 10. I cut it short here, but there's 10 questions it came up with. Again, gets you going, gets you started. And then, based on, I got resumes back, I then anonymized and pasted their resume into Copilot and said, give me 5 questions to validate their experience. Great, because I can ask better questions. This morning, how Lisa was saying, how would you approach this challenge? You can add that to the list now as well. By the way, you're probably wondering why I would do that. It's great to get questions, but what I found is when we were working with a client, couple of the resumes were very, very good. And what we found out is that they'd actually taken the job description, put it into ChatGPT, saying, create me a resume, and they did. Looked awesome. Even during the interview, they were sat back a bit like this. It was just very vanilla answers. They could tell it just didn't feel right. We felt they were basically just typing in the questions of ChatGPT during the interview and answering. That's how far people are going with this. It's a shame because, ironically, I love her ingenuity. I love her creativity, but didn't come out, so we had to pass. But this is why we need to be aware. As AI and ChatGPT evolves, we need to evolve. We need to ask better questions. For anyone who's eagle-eyed here, you'll notice that I use please list 10 questions and please list 5 questions there. I like to be polite with ChatGPT and AI because when the overlords of AI take over the world, hopefully I'll get a pass as well. So anyway, so that hiring, it's great for helping hiring. Again, accelerating how you work. This is a checklist. Again, I always want to leave you folks with something you can take away and do. Please don't expect to read this right now. There's a lot of information on this slide. Take it away. Again, I'll send you a copy. There's a copy on the Hoover site. Use this to how you use AI for your people, your different areas, your operating models, because it needs to be done properly. So that was people. The third out of the rapid, the 5 steps for using AI on your projects. Now let's get into impact. This is where we increase income as project managers, increase our value. So what does AI mean? No more project managers? I don't think so. No, not at all. But project managers with AI will do better. And that's where we have to be careful. That's where we have to look at what we can do better as project managers to add more value. It's not about requirements, scope, budget anymore, though that's important. It's around how we add value to our clients and customers. So let's go to the framework again. Planning, design, execution, the thick of it. We're in the execution of the project, the real stress of getting things delivered. So with AI, how do we help us add value? So I'm going to step back. Let's not use AI for a second. Let's use an Ishikawa fishbone diagram. Has anyone used Ishikawa fishbone? Yeah, awesome. It's an engineering thing, but this is a simplified version, by the way. But I love this because what we can do is with a problem or a question, we break down how we come to an answer. Rather than jumping to conclusions, jumping to answers quickly, we take a moment. Lisa this morning was very big on let's take a moment to step back, breathe, the box breathing, think about where we are, what we're doing. This is a great way to do that because, again, it just takes you away from your laptop or your desktop and you can just write this down. I love writing this down. Point is, by using this structured framework, you're coming up with better answers. And these factors could be anything. I like people, process, technology, the environment, in terms of economic environment, what's going on, the targets for the company or the project, and the data. But then you can put that into ChatGPT or AI to say, what data questions do I need to consider with this particular problem around performance testing or these user requirements? What data aspects do I need to think of? So this is where AI gives you leverage. It augments what you're doing. It helps you come up with better questions, better answers, and ultimately solve problems. So for you as a project manager, that's how you add value. By the way, I actually used this. I was quick story because I was with an insurance company in the UK. The sponsor, when I very first started, it was a troubled project. I came in to help it. The project sponsor said, this project will always be yellow status. I said, what do you mean? He said, throughout the project, it's always going to be yellow. Will never be green, will never be red until the very end when we deliver, and then it's green and blue complete, done. I said, okay, I don't quite understand this. He said, no, there's nothing to understand, John. It's yellow. Deal with it. I was like, okay. Spoke to a few colleagues, and again, this character, should we say, sponsor, had a certain way of doing projects. That created a problem for me, because as a project manager, one of our things is we are honest, open, we report it how it is. So I actually had to have 2 sets of status reports. I had to have the actual status report, which was either green, red, or yellow, depending on the actual status of the project, and then I had his reporting status, which was yellow throughout. The reason how I came to that is by using this. Okay, how do I break this down? How do I come up with real value? Because as a project manager, I didn't like that. I actually didn't like that decision at all but I wanted to go with it because I wanted to finish the project. So if ever someone ever came back and said, why didn't you report the status? It's like, well, I did, but this is how the sponsor wanted it. So again, as project managers, sometimes we have tough choices. The point is, break it down, take a moment, and also use AI to help work through that. So let's give some examples. Octant AI. Again, we'll come back to privacy and security in a second, but these tools promise that they'll keep the data secure. Again, be very, very careful with this, but let's assume it's secure for the moment. So I've used Okta with anonymized budget data. You can put in the budgets into it, then it will compare budgets of other projects like yours, and then identify problems, risks, some of the trends. So it says, hey, your performance testing may not be long enough. You haven't budgeted enough for these technical skills. It gives you prompts, ideas to help. Scope Master. Again, put in requirements, needs of your project. I have an HR management system, a Workday project, whatever it is, you put it in, it gives you a set of requirements. Again, speeds up that requirements gathering, gives you a baseline to then take to your stakeholders and review and validate. Speeds you up. And Height. Height is a project management tool. Again, it's early days, but when I've used it, it does a really, really good way of prioritizing tasks. You can put in your project management, your schedule, your status reports, your charter, any information you have, and it comes up with a list of tasks, and then it also starts to balance resources based on the data it's using. So again, you have to be wary of the data, what it's being used for. Is it being shared? They promise not to, but again, don't put anything on the internet that you think that you don't want to be shared. So I anonymize this data when I do use it. Has anyone used these tools? Anyone seen these? Anyone used any other tools for impact and delivery, hiring? We've covered quite a bit here. Just curious if anyone in the audience here has any tools or recommendations. No? Okay, yeah, go for it.
I use Perplexity, and I've done that to replace Google, because I find Google now is all catered and trafficked, and how do I make the most money off the answer that I give you? But Perplexity, it seems to be it answers the questions, but it gives you up to 6 sources of how they came to that conclusion, so it's good.
Okay, so it's Wayne, right? Yeah, Wayne said he doesn't use Google, he uses Perplexity, which is a web browser search engine.
I don't think it's set up like that. It's just kind of a
conversational.
Yeah, it's like a hey Siri type of thing. Go get me an answer.
Okay, so what Wayne was saying there is it gives you references. It tells you how it's sourcing the information, which is awesome because again, you want to trust and verify is the number one thing with AI right now. You can't trust the data it produces, but if you verify it, you know it's going to be good. You know it can be good. The one thing I always say is you are accountable for how you use AI. You can't blame AI for it told me to reschedule the project and now it's over budget. You're always responsible. Please do not blame ChatGPT for how you make decisions. Okay, so for risk management, again, just to zoom in and give you an example of how ChatGPT could be used for risks. So please expand on the risks and list of impacts. So I took the risks from the charter a few slides ago, I pasted it in, and it started to give me it actually gave me 10 risks. This was just the first one. This just speeds it up. No one likes to have to fill in a charter with loads and loads of risks. It's time consuming. So use this as a basis, and then you have to go in and edit and build on it. Just speeds up your time, creates more impact for you as a project manager. And there's a lot of choice out there. There's so many different AI tools out there. How do you pick? So I wanted to leave you also with this checklist. This actually works for any technology, but more specifically AI technology, because there are some things here around that you want to definitely ask. How do you prevent bias? What lessons would you apply to our project? So this is going to the AI vendor and say, you've done this before with other people. How would you do it for us? Get them, they're the experts, get them to help you with the implementation. Then, of course, the security privacy. You have to know how it's using your data. And that's where I love some of the corporate tools, which we'll talk to in a second, around the Oracle Digital Assistant and also Copilot, which is becoming much more of a closed system. It's controlling your data. So let's talk about that. Data, the last of the 5. And the reason I have this last is because it's the most important. Because AI, as we said, takes data, use the patterns to create predictions. The only way it can do that is with a massive amount of data. In fact, most AI projects take about 80% of the time just cleaning the data. AI will quickly uncover any problems you have with your data. Because we know the saying of garbage in, garbage out. With AI, garbage in, exponential garbage out. Because AI doesn't get tired, it does not stop. It will continue forever. So you have to use it in the right way and you have to give it the right data, you have to train it. So without good data, there's no good AI. So let's make it real with the monitor control phase or state of a project, how you look after a project, the overriding governance that happens all the way through. So here are some tools I've used. MissionX, Julius, and Oracle Digital Assistant. So Julius is awesome because you can upload a status report or a budget in this case. It will then compare it to others, and then you can ask it questions, then you can interact with it. So it's like ChatGPT for you, but it's looking at other data. It promises to keep it enclosed. But again, let's trust and verify. And then MissionX, similar to Height, it's very good at allocating resources. It's very good at, if you upload an MS project plan or even Excel, and then who's available when, it'll actually automatically assign people based on their skills. Is it perfect? No. Can it help? Yes. And then Digital Assistant. So this is early days, but I love where Oracle's going for this. I mean, people often have mixed views around Oracle, and it's a big company. It often can be difficult to deal with, but they have huge amounts of data. This is their advantage. So anyone who has Oracle ERP systems, they have access to all that data. So you can then go in, look at all your projects in Oracle, and then say, what's the status of all my projects? And it will very quickly give you that personalized dashboard that we talked about at the beginning. Again, it accelerates how we do things. But a word of warning, there are risks with data and AI, of course. So bias, disinformation, if anyone's heard of hallucination with ChatGPT. So remember earlier we talked about data, patterns, predictions. So what hallucinations are is predictions that are just going off randomly. So it's taking data, taking the patterns and just basically mispredicting. That's what a hallucination is. So that's what we have to be careful of, because it's still learning. It's still learning the patterns based on what it's trained on. Security, of course, transparency and auditability. These are all very important points. If you're ever considering an AI or the data, make sure you check off these items. Then I'm going to get a bit more, I love data, by the way, so I'm going to get a bit more deep here, but if you have a data in your database and you want to check it against AI, here's the 5 V's that you need to check. The volume, variety, velocity, veracity, and value. So just to explain this, for example, just the other day, working with a client, I had variety problems and veracity problems. So for a veracity problem, we were pulling out data elements from an ERP inventory system to do the reporting. As a result, we found that some of the data fields didn't have accurate data. Our veracity wasn't good. Then our variety, we found that there's a limited number of data in the fields. So that was the variety. There wasn't enough data to make decisions for the AI reporting that we need. So we have to go back and clean the data. Guarantee you'll find this when you work with an AI project, but the output's going to be amazing. We got some early prototypes, and the predictions around saving production time on the machines was saving 40, 50%. But more importantly, it was showing how some of the ERP data, the finance data, was wrong. So that enabled us to clean up some of their financial statements. Ultimately, they were reporting wrong data. So AI helped with that. It wasn't the answer, but it helped. And this is the flow. Again, we're getting into a lot of data here, a lot of information here. Again, I don't expect you to suddenly absorb this, but in summary, there's a flow, data source all the way to presentation. So when I'm doing an AI project, be clear on the source all the way through to the presentation element. There's the bits in between, it's the analytics, the AI there, the second from the right. That's where you need to make sure you have the data cleaned before you do the AI and the machine learning on top. So again, we're getting a bit deeper here, and I can happily take questions in a second, but I just want to also just show you this quickly. Maturity levels. Again, a lot of information here, folks. Don't expect you to read all of that, but use this to qualify your data. Even if it's just your own projects, use your team to say, what level of quality do we have our data at? What level of maturity is our data? Because without data, we don't have good AI. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is my rapid framework, the 5 steps for using AI on your projects. Now, I know there's a lot of questions, so that's why I want to pause now. Just before we wrap up, I do want to pause because the question I often get, where do we start? How do I use it? What's the best technology out there? I get it can be overwhelming, so happy to pause now and just take any questions at all. Or if you have any tools you've used around AI, let's share them. Oh, there's a question there.
Hey there, thanks. This is fascinating. Okay. 2 quick ones. So the first one is, I feel like this is in your full rapid, but I'll speak to data. You gave some pointers about how to vet out, make sure that it's the right technology for you. I'd imagine that would take a lot of time, and I know where to start is an overall question, but just generally, is there like a recommendation or advice you'd give about how to like quickly vet out different AIs in order to know that they're the right one for you? Like, what comes to mind is, if you find a new like product, you can go to YouTube and there's always experts telling you about the product or whatever. Like, I don't know, do you have like just a quick way to vet out like what's the pros and cons about this product and what to look for and what can be trusted? Thanks.
Yeah, it's a great point. And so the days of RFPs, and I'm sure all people have been through big technology evaluations, same principles apply, but we just have to do it much, much quicker because there's so much choice. So with AI, there are some bad choices. I mean, some of them, these sites, when you go to AI, it says coming soon. They're not ready yet. Version 2 is coming. So you have to be very careful about that. In answer to your question, it goes back to the reason. Why do you want AI? So if it's save time or automate a process, what is exactly that? So is it produce better Power BI dashboards, and then you go down the Power Automate route? Be clear on the requirements first. Then you can do a bit of research, a quick industry scan, the Google research first. Then you can start to do some demos, reach out to some folks. You're going to have to take the plunge, though. There's so much choice. It's overwhelming. There is an element of sit back and let some people get through this first, and then talk to colleagues, talk to other industries who've done this. Use some of the user groups to ask other questions. I mean, ask this group as well. If you have a specific use case, there may be someone in the room who's actually done it as well. But bottom line is, be clear on your reason, but be clear on your requirements, and then do some internet research to start, then get the demos in, and just get to results quickly. Like, that's why I like Agile in this instance, to show results quickly, but be prepared to pivot if it doesn't work out. So, there's a question there.
Yeah, thank you very much. One of the things, just this thing is the future. We know that it's less than a year, and it's crazy where it's going. So you said 60% about that. Most of the people, they will learn and they will catch up, but I'm so sure that even the 60% will just go down maybe to 20 or 30, and those the guys. So what about the rest 70%? What you advise them, how they can? Because if they will not catch up, they will be in trouble, Yes. It will be a disaster for the humanity. So I'm not sure what you advise. I understand you said they need to catch up or whatever, but if they cannot, so what is the advice?
Yeah, so if I heard your question correctly around the 20-20-60, so 20% love any new ideas, 20% will just hate it, and 60% are in the middle. And then how do you bring the 60 or 80% along, the people who hate it plus the people in the middle? Encourage them, give them support, give them reasons, absolutely. I had this recent, even just before COVID, we were working with a client to have more open plan offices. And some of the people in the office said, I joined this company for an office. Not going to lie here. That's why I joined the company. You're getting rid of why I wanted to work for this company. You got to ask what else they do, but that was what they wanted. They wanted the office. And we said, appreciate that. The way we need to restructure this company to save costs, which means we survive longer term, is we need to look at co-working and more shared space. Some of them came along, some of them said no, and we said, well, sorry, then this is the way it's going. And ultimately, they had the choice of either staying or going. So there are going to be people that you can bring along for the journey with support. I'm not saying no to everyone. I'm going to say, okay, here's the tools I'm going to give you to help you through this journey. Here's what I need you to do. Ultimately, if you can't do it, I'll help you with your next choice. But there are good reasons to do this. I can give you more opportunity. So it's coming down what's in it for them. What's their reason? So some of the people who wanted offices, who were getting that taken away, were saying, okay, we'll create some hotel space. We'll create some meeting rooms you can block out. So if you need that sole space, you can have it. So again, we gave them reasons to keep going with this change. Everyone's different. I love change management because it's both infuriatingly difficult, but also fascinating when you get it right. So it's a real art and a science. Anyone, if we have any change managers in the audience, again, hats off to you. I think it's a skill to really value. Okay, any other questions? Oh, there's one there, yeah, hey. Maybe give your name as well. I forgot to ask the other folks for the name when the microphone comes through, just so we know who you are. I'll speed it up, Mac.
Hi, I'm Monique.
Hey, Monique.
Nice to see you again, John.
Yes, of course. Yeah, hey, Monique.
From
So
St.
it's been a
Hi.
while.
Yeah, I just had a comment really, just around Chat GPT, just the talk around how it's getting dumber. Just wondering your thoughts around that, like how it's kind of trending down.
Yes.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do. I mean, this is the problem. Probably people are saying, why is ChatGPT free and why is it everywhere? So the reason being is because in late November last year, believe it or not, it's only been a year. So the difference is while computing power and computing speed and storage significantly came down in cost over the last few years. That's why ChatGPT is so fast and so free. The problem with free is it gets garbage in, garbage out. The reason they wanted it free is because you're training it. Us people are training that model. Remember the data, the patterns, predictions? We're helping it with the patterns. So we're actually helping ChatGPT or OpenAI as the company build a better version. So the paid version is better for sure, but this is where I like to almost play them off each other. So I'll put the question into Copilot or Bing or even Google. I'll also put it in ChatGPT and see which one gives me the best answer. But bottom line, yeah, unfortunately, the free versions and the more generative ones are ultimately getting bad information because there are malicious people out there who are putting bad information into it. I mean, it's a funny story actually. When remember that 70% fewer emails, that was a chatbot for HR policies. We had some people unfortunately say, I'll use the polite language, but this is crap. This is the worst information anyway, ever. Unfortunately, that chatbot was taking, this is the worst information, this is crap information, and then occasionally it would play it back to people's answers saying, here's some crap information. And it's like, this is not helpful. So be aware that you need to moderate, you need to look after the AI, you need to train it. Remember I talked about AI being your co-worker? You train, develop your team. You have to do the same with technology. Cool. Great question, though. Any other questions? Oh, yeah, here. Mac, it's going to be right at the front here.
This might be a very technical question, but I was just thinking, and maybe since you have so much knowledge in this field, like, do you know there's a tool right now where like a lot of times every project is different, but sometimes you can use a base plan and enhance the plan for the second. Like, I don't know if there are tools right now. I know I have seen ChatGPT, but it's like a chat. But like where you literally upload the Excel spreadsheet of an old plan, and then it's like, okay, this is my new project, like customize the deliverables, and then and I don't know if there's something, but
yes.
I feel like that would be the best thing ever. Like, take this old plan and this is what we're trying to do in the new one. and customize the deliverables and see whatever is missing and give me a more holistic view.
There are actually, for anyone who didn't hear that, the question is around if I could upload my current plan and then will it help me build a better plan? And so yes, there are. So Oxen AI is one of them. Height is another one. Even the Mission X will do that as well. There's actually tons of tools. If you do, you can actually ask AI for which tools can do this for you as well. So you can have a question, put it into Copilot. ChatGPT is the free version is a bit old because it only has data up to 2021, but Bing Chat, Google Chat, and Copilot will give you a more up-to-date answer. But yeah, those, and we can chat later and give you some more tools as well. There's some AI search tools as well. If you put in AI tools, they'll give you a search of categories of different tools for different topics. And if you look up the project management ones, it can help with that as well. But I've used that, and I think they're awesome because what it's doing is it's comparing your plan, your schedule, to thousands of other schedules, saying, here's what you might need to consider, here's what we've seen on other projects. And that just gives you a different way of thinking, okay, I didn't realize that. And I mentioned performance testing earlier because I increased my performance testing based on a recommendation saying, in these type of projects, generally performance test takes 8 weeks. I had 6 weeks, so now I did a quick review with my team. Again, I validated, and we increased it to 8 weeks. So yes, there are those tools as well. Cool, good. Great question, by the way, thank you. Yep, and second question, oh, you get a bonus one. And sorry, and introduce your name as well, just so we know.
Yeah, my name is Ala Al Shawa. Yeah, just like, okay, we have a few minutes left, and can you just give 3 advices for people just like based on this last year of experience on ChatGPT or AI tools and all that stuff, where they can enhance their skills and going forward? So it's just like, yeah, general 3 top things you believe so they can be on catch up and they will not be left behind.
Yeah, don't be left behind. Yes, exactly. So what I do, there's 2 newsletters I subscribe to because again, daily newsletters are good. Again, who needs another email? I get it, but I may only look at it once. I'll get 5, but I may only look at it once or twice a week. But it just gives me a quick scan. Some of the websites, the TechCrunch is pretty good. You go to there, there's an AI section. But even if you go to Forbes, you know, some of the more bigger newsworthy websites, even they have AI stories come up, so you can put alerts on that. Like anything, we have to spend time on this. That's why I said the AI coffees, the AI Fridays. So what I did with it, we actually did it for innovation, not AI, but we did Innovation Fridays. So every Friday, we'd get the team together for a virtual coffee and just say, hey, what's going on? What are you seeing around technology, new things? And we chat about everything and anything technology. Could be AI, could be automation, could be anything. So, but you have to allocate time for it. Like Lisa mentioned learning earlier on. We have to create time for learning, create those moments in your day, which takes effort. I get it, we're busy, lots going on, but that's the only way to learn is to actually allocate some time, get the newsletters. YouTube's great. There's a lot of crap out there, but there's a lot of really good YouTube channels as well. Trawl through them and find one that works for you. Absolutely. Okay, cool. Any other questions? Thank you both. Thank you for the question. Any other questions? Oh yeah, here. And this will probably be the last one before we wrap up. So, and by the way, I'll be here at the end as well if you have any other questions. But go ahead.
Hi, it's Anil Risbut. No, great session. My question is, you know, like there's a lot of talk around AI governance and even like, you know, policies being put in place or even legislation, but in my mind, it's like the cat's out of the bag.
Right.
But we still have restrictions where we work in terms of the use of these tools. What are your thoughts on where that's going to go in terms of how it's governed?
Yeah, great question. Again, so just to repeat it back, is the AI policy governance at a global level. It's the governments are getting involved. I'm a bit biased, but the UK government actually had a great AI summit a couple of weeks ago where they had some thought leaders around AI. And bottom line is they're not, so for example, they're not restricting some of the AI, but some of the other countries are. It's a really difficult balance. Do we let big tech and some of the companies progress and create advance around technology, but how are they doing it? How are they using our data? Are some concerns valid? And will AI ultimately take over and create some bad decisions for humanity? Possibly. I don't think so. I think we as humans have enough control and enough sense to say, okay, this is getting to a point where we need to direct it, control it, and move it while still having it open. So I'm optimistic. I think it will create it's time savings for us, productivity. I think it will start to solve medical problems quicker with doctors giving the advice. Ultimately, it's not going to take away doctors or lawyers, for example. But yeah, I'm very optimistic about where this could go. And I think some regulation is good to make sure it's quality, but we need to let some of the companies just run with this and see where it goes. It's exciting. Thank you. Really appreciate this. I know that you will have questions. I'll be here. I'll stay around for lunch as well. I'll be here at the end if you have any questions. Please come by and see me. I do want to leave you with this thought, because AI is not just about artificial intelligence. It's not just about ones and zeros. It's actually about people, because AI actually stands for amplifying your impact as project managers. It's about leading your teams and ultimately exponentially increasing your productivity so you have a bigger positive impact. Thank you.
Thank you, John. That was an awesome session. I don't know about you, but I really appreciated the examples, the very specific examples, because with a new technology such as this, it's great to see how it can be used in our daily life. We have a thank you gift for you.
Thank you.
On behalf of the chapter.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Folks, one more round of applause for John.
Thank you.